What's up, guys? Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Dustin. I'm here with Nameco. We're heading into week 4, and obviously the main thing going on in your fantasy leagues right now is trades. So we're going to go over what you should be doing if you're at the top of the rankings and what you should be doing if you're at the bottom of the rankings.
Right, and if you're 0-3, guess what? It is panic time. So the theme of your trade should be win now. And what do I mean by that? I mean trading some guys that might be studs on your team, but if they're not going to be playing this week, if they're injured or have buys. And what you should be trying to do is get guys that are going to help you in the short term, weeks 4, 5, and 6, because you got to get some wins under your belt. Guys you should be looking to deal this week is Frank Gore, Westbrook, Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith, Roddy White. All of these guys are either hurt or have buys, so they're not going to play. And if you can trade them and get close to full value, that's a great move for you. But the guys you should be looking to get are guys that have soft matchups. For instance, this week, Wayne, Forte, Benson all have soft matchups, so they might help you win this week, which is what you need to do. You need to get some wins under your belt, or guess what? You ain't going to be making the playoffs.
All right, now let's talk about the teams that are at the top of the rankings, what they should be trying to do. You need to be really hitting those waiver wires and adding as much depth on your team as possible. Then you're going to want to send some 2-for-1 trades down to the teams at the bottom, down to the teams that lack depth. Then if you get some of those done, you'll upgrade your starting lineup, and guess what? You get a roster spot back, you get to hit the waiver wire again and start all over again. That's really how you build those amazing teams, where at the end of the year you take a look at it and it looks like you drafted your whole team in the first 3 rounds of the draft.
Alright, now we're going to get into some guys you should be looking to sell high on. And now we touched on some of these guys last week, but they had another good game, so I implore you, please trade them this week. And you might be thinking, why would I be trading guys that are leading my team in points? Well, the thing about it is all of the guys I'm about to mention, we feel they're not going to keep it up for the whole year, so their trade value is at its absolute pinnacle. It's guys like Percy Harvin, Willis McGahee, Julius Jones, Deshaun Jackson, Manningham. There's no way they're going to keep up this the entire year, so get rid of them now.
All right, now guys that you can be looking to buy low on, we talked about the first guy earlier, Roddy White. He's off to kind of a slow start. He's on a bye week this week. You might be able to get him pretty cheap. Then we got guys like Steve Smith. He's also on a bye. Steve Slayton, Forte, a couple of underperforming stud running backs that we aren't giving up on just yet. Then T.O. coming off of his goose egg last week. If you need a receiver, you might be able to get T.O. cheap. And also LT, I know there's a ton of question marks around him, but depending on where you are in the standings and how cheap you can get him, he could be a good gamble for your team. Alright, now we're going to answer a question from our forums. This one comes from GameBreaker11. He wants to know if he should trade Matt Forte for Julius Jones and Brandon Marshall. Now here's his team. He's got a decent team, but we just really don't think he's getting enough out of this deal. If you're trading your first round pick, you should be getting a hands down, no questions asked starter on your team with no question marks. And you look at Julius Jones, he was off to the same hot start last year, then he kind of fizzled off. And then Brandon Marshall, he's a head case. Who knows if he's going to put up consistent numbers all year. And we looked at the team that he's trying to trade with, and that team has Roddy White. We feel if he were to sub Brandon Marshall with Roddy and get Julius Jones and Roddy White for Forte, that's a much more fair trade.
Yeah, we definitely like that trade more, but you got to remember Roddy is on a bye week 4, and Forte has a really soft matchup with the line. So, you might want to hesitate on pulling the trigger on this one for the sole reason, if you win with Forte this week and you go to 500, you're right in the thick of things, and he'll probably still do the trade next week even if you don't win with him.
So that's it for this episode. Don't forget to get in those forums and post any trade questions or any start 'em, sit 'em stuff. Brent and I will be back on Sunday morning. We'll see you then.